Hello, everyone. And I'm seeing on my monitor that it may not be connecting on Facebook. I may check that here in just a second. And I see that it's going live on YouTube. However, my name's Teresa Snyder. And I have to say that Carol handles production. So if some of you are not familiar with Carol Brown, Carol handles, and she knows that I'm going to be going back to teaching school some next week, and she wanted to get these juicy, good guests in. So yay. So
Yay.
Ellen, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to sing a song, like a Halloween, Ghostbusters, Michael Jackson, but we'll just go straight in and let you introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you. There's Maggie.
Yay.
I'm a music therapist. I am a board certified music therapist. And my approach really has a lot to do with music therapy and psychotherapy, but it always stemmed from a near-death experience when I was a child. So I bring that into my work in San Diego, and I'm just excited to talk to you and share my story and hear your story and all that great stuff.
Ooh, I love it. And this is what, for anybody that's watching, is Ellen and I, honestly, we haven't had a real big chance to talk. So this is going to be as authentic and real and beautiful and if you guys have questions, type them in, please. I see Patty, Carol, Maggie. Okay, so Ellen, what was this experience that you had as a child? So I'll know.
Yeah. Well, everything that happens in my life, hey, Patty, really stems from one major experience. And when I was 12, I was kicked in the head by a horse, and I was in a coma for a week. And in that place, my parents were told to try to stimulate my mind by playing movies at the bedside and things like that. And so they played home movies and nothing was really happening. I was in ICU. I was in a coma for about a week. And in that experience, I found myself in another place. So I was taken to a beautiful place full of love and light and music and color. And I just became that love. I became that connection, and nothing else that I cared about on earth really mattered at all. All the things we worry about. And I received all of these messages about what it meant to be on this plane and to have purpose and to have relationship and what that meant. And I was given my purpose, or I claimed it at that time. And I told them when they asked me, did I want to stay or come back? And I wanted to stay. It was beautiful and loving and amazing. But I knew that my job wasn't done. And I said, I want to go back and heal people with music. And then I woke up from the coma. There was a little more to it than that. I actually went into the darkness and saw these colorful notes on a staff, and they were just moving on the staff, but I couldn't hear anything. And so I pulled the staff in closer and closer until that went away. And then I heard a sound so tiny and minuscule that I don't think most people would even perceive it, but I heard music, and I just attached to that sound. I pulled it to me, and then I woke up to the music. The music is what woke me up from the coma.
Wow. So, yeah. Wow. That is amazing. So Misty, oh, thank you, Misty. Clarity and peace so thank you for sharing that. And I'm kind of playing with the screen, is that I painted this church last night. I was kind of experimenting. And the reason is and I painted this Amazing Grace sign. And I only say all that because this story, I did not know this about you. I did not know about your experience. This past week, I've been diving in, pen to paper, some writing. I worked for hospice for a while. And this past week on Dancing with the Stars, which happens to be my favorite show, Lauren Elena, the country singer, wrote a song about her stepdad's experience of visualizing heaven. And the song is On the Other Side.
Yeah. Boom. It always comes to us in multiple messages, right? So
yeah. Oh, Maggie, my favorite shaker. Yes, that song is beautiful. So, wow, like I'm got chills,
Yeah.
that I'm like, yes, once again, here is this sign. I'm always like, God, when are you going to text me? When am I going to get this message? And here it
Yeah.
is. Here it is again.
I went to a near-death experience conference last month, and I met with people who have been connected to these messages in other ways. It's not that you need to have a near-death experience to really feel and experience this, because sometimes, there's something called a spiritually transformative experience where you can be taken into that state of awareness and wholeness and connection, and you can really feel it in the same way that I did in my experience. I can say that it's nothing I've ever experienced on earth again. But everything I do, I try to get back to that. So I became a music therapist because I felt when I came back, I kind of felt like I brought the angels back with me. That was a big
Mhm.
part of it. And I knew that they guided me and I was guided by something greater. And I knew that when I was in a place of making music and connecting people to music, I could help them connect to that place, at least a little bit. And
Mhm.
when I was in grad school, I recognized that when I experienced music and imagery as a participant, it was the closest I'd ever come to my near-death experience and actually feeling that love, warmth, and that weight of the love around me and that connection and
Mm.
completion, right? So what
Wow.
I do in my workshops is I use crystal singing bowls and music and imagery, and I lead people through to connect to their own place of warmth and love and connection and peace. And then I use essential oils, which are the highest frequency substance on the planet, at least the ones that I work with are, and they just take people to that next level of connection. So it's been a journey, and now I work a lot with hospitals, and I train them how to use essential oils for limbic support. My master's is in counseling as well as music therapy, so I kind of try to bring it all in and make one big kind of like
Yes. Yeah, that is
juicy
so
thing. Yeah.
cool. That is so
Yeah.
cool. And it's interesting that I hear so much. I hear so many good, good, good things. And I also know that when more and more people are more open, I think, to talk now, maybe it's technology allows it for us to share these near death experiences. I don't know if books are written, movies are made, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I remember a patient talking about how glorious the ceiling was. The ceiling is
Oh.
glorious. And they could hear their dog. And, moments like that.
Mhm.
And I sometimes think, did I make that up? Was that a dream? Et cetera, et cetera. So thank you. Thank you for your experience. And I must say that I come from a medical sales background
Mhm.
that I'm just going to be blunt. Sometimes these essential oil companies,
Yeah,
one
I
says
know.
one thing, another says another.
Mhm. Mhm.
Somebody's in their back garage making one. I
Yep,
mean, literally, I've known of people like, I'm going to put
I
this in a
know.
bottle and sell it. So
Yeah,
I'm curious, how do you get to that place of knowing?
yeah. So I did my research. I also have Lyme disease, so I was kind of exposed to essential oils in that way. I really connected with them on a spiritual level first. But when I started to feel better, I had been on antibiotics and things for a long time and we just wasn't feeling better. So my naturopath said, why don't you try essential oils? And I didn't really believe there was a difference in the different companies. So I tried a couple different ones. Um, and I started to feel better when I found Young Living. And I dove into researching why.
Mhm.
So I found out, okay, that let's figure out what I need to ask. Why am I feeling better on these versus the others? So I called the different companies and I asked them the questions. How do you know where your farms are? Like, do you plant on organic soil? Do you use pesticides? Because even organic pesticides can change the constituents in the plant. Do you have third-party testing? Okay, how many third-party testing
Yeah.
sites do you use? Do you use one? No, Young Living uses 6. Okay, so how invested are you in research? Okay, well, they work with the Minnell Center for Chemical Senses. They recently partnered with NASA. They're in multiple hospitals. and they have a research and development team led by 50 doctors and scientists. So I really asked the hard questions, and that's how I found out. The more I found out about kind of the unstandardized scruples of the essential oil, world, I found out no other company is really following their oils that I know of. They don't really know where they're coming from. They're not testing. They don't even have the money to afford the mass spectrometer, which is like $2 million machine. And then I think about, okay, who's the source? Now, this is the story that really got me. I found out that Young Living was the original essential oil company.
Okay.
I heard Gary Young may have even created the term essential oils.
Okay.
So I started to look into, okay, well, is that true? Let me learn about it. So he went to France and learned from the farmers in France about lavender and brought lavender seeds back here to start the first farm. Well, I found out that one of the Young Living farms in France that grows lavender now is run by a family who's owned the farm for 4 generations. And they were the original family to ever grow and harvest and distill lavender. So we're looking at the people who actually created the process of distillation, the people who created the machines. Gary Young developed the machines with the farmers, and then he actually saved the plants in France. He went back, I think in the last 10 years, there was some kind of decimated crop situation, and he actually gifted back seeds so that he could save lavender in the country of France. And they came to his funeral and gave homage to his gift back to them in their country. These are like the leading essential oil people in the world. And I just decided I'm going to align with that. And I've since found out that they have a higher, they change our frequency differently in the body than other oils do. And I work with frequency. I work with sound.
Yes.
I work with music. So that matters to me.
Yes.
That matters to me. Yeah.
Totally. And there is someone that on my Facebook page, her name is Ebi or Ebby. I hate to even say that. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I would love for the two of you to speak to each other because she's a musician. She has been healed from essential oils because she had postpartum, severe postpartum. And that's when I first started going, okay, I can kind of listen, because same thing. I mean, I've been in corporate sales. I've been trained to sell things. Hey, it doesn't matter. You're going to sell this anyway. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, and again, not to bash brands or bash companies. It's like they get consumed by, I don't know, money or
convoluted.
Yeah, convoluted.
And so you really have to go to the research, and you have to ask your questions, and you have to know what to ask, because there are no regulations on this stuff. And with the hospitals that I work with, and I work with 30, and I train the doctors and nurses. I help to train the doctors.
Misty I just wanted to shout out to Misty. Misty works in the medical field. She has her own, oh, wow. I mean, she has a book. Anybody, I read every word of her book about recovery, how she got, and me too, in recovery. But back to that, yes, go back to the essential oils, because the mass production or different things that come up.
There are, like with the hospitals, they need the evidence-based research, right? So we need to look to PubMed.gov. We need to look to Google Scholar. There are 15,000 research studies on the efficacy of essential oils. So we do have an entire drive of research that we provide for our hospitals. So I'm very familiar with that, very familiar with what it takes. And honestly, that is the thing. You have to know what questions to ask, and you have to filter through the myths on the internet, because some oil companies are very good at marketing. Well, marketing often talks about bashing other companies or putting out untruths or trying to speak about that. What we want to speak about is, how do they farm? Do they send their farmers home if they're in a bad mood? Young Living does, right? Because they don't need, the plants don't need that energy.
Wow.
Do they bottle on site? Do they follow the plant from the time it's a seed to the time that it's grown? And do they test the constituents? Did you know that you can distill certain oils for 20 hours and they'll have the perfect constituents, but if you go 21 hours, they're all gone, right? So How they
Wow.
distill, if they distill one time or multiple times, because distilling multiple times removes the constituents from the top. These are the things you need to know. You need to have someone who can actually give you the questions to ask, right?
Wow. Wow. That is so cool. And thank you for just the education. And I don't want to go down the CBD oil path at the moment, just because let's talk about some juicy good stuff. Let's talk about, like, I love your near death experience. I love the path you're on now. So tell me, what are you up to now? Like, healing through music.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Just what are you up to now?
Well, I have a lot of facets of my business. I present often at different energy psychology conferences, so that's one thing. I present and hold a booth space at the music therapy conferences, both nationally and internationally. I run a team of healthcare practitioners that are learning to use essential oils in their work, and so we have about 100 of us that are really core working together and learning together, where we share. And then I work with the hospitals. So I will travel to, help them on a clinical side with my psychology background to how do the oils work in the limbic brain. Young Living can move through the neuron, which is really unique and different. So I tell them about how that works. They shift emotion within 30 seconds, how they differ from other oils. And then I've been doing a lot of things like this. Like when I was at a near-death experience conference, I was interviewed for the Dr. Oz show, and they were talking to me about potentially coming on to share my experience. I think that when I think about the near-death experience, for me now, it's not the experience itself, but what came out of it and what I learned, because there's so much to how we live our lives and what we focus on that in the end doesn't really matter. I hate to say that, but we worry about so many things and we get caught up in the small details, when in reality it's all about love. It's all about connection. It's all about helping others and using the gifts that you're brought here for your own purpose, because we all have purpose. We all have meaning. We can all make a difference in the world, and it's so easy to lose that.
Yeah, I just love that, because it's our ego gets involved, or our feelings of wanting a certain outcome. And yeah, we could just kind of almost like, everybody breathe, everybody let some things go,
Yeah.
and make the last interview with Amy. I don't know if you got to see much of it, but we're all love this.
Yeah.
Keep more and more of us keep collaborating, and more of us, it's not about credit card debt or keeping up with the Joneses, even though sometimes that the media and the billboards and the glamorization of, for me, drink this or party that. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Let's go to a music therapy conference. Let's talk about psychology. Let's talk about how the brain works. Talk about human emotion and love. And
But more than that, let's talk about releasing our fears. Let's talk about stepping into our purpose and not getting caught up in what others think that we should do and who we should be, right? Let's talk about actually making a difference in the world, and using those small moments in life to really help other people, to lift them up, and to just let that be your legacy, right? To let that be your legacy. So that's kind of where I am with this, and just wanting to do that. And I do lead workshops regularly in and around San Diego. So I have a workshop coming up next week on the 30th, where we are going to be talking about new beginnings, because that's something that's really big in my personal life right now. Releasing that which no longer serves you, through sound vibration, through essential oils, through affirmations, through maybe singing and vocalizing, right? And through community, because it really is about community and just calling in those people that help you on your path. So.
Absolutely. And I always feel like that, for me and my purpose on this planet, multifaceted as it may be, is I love divine connections. I love connecting people to their purpose. I love connecting people to one another, and building community. Like, I've thought of like 10 people that I would love to connect you with just in this broadcast.
Yeah.
That's what it's
You're
about.
a connector. That's a gift. That's one of our skill sets, right? You're a connector. And that is powerful because you can really create lasting and, I don't know, ever growing change and growth for so many people just by bringing them together. Because I think right now, at this time on the planet, we're called to collaborate. And I think that we grow by working together. Honestly, like, I don't know who I would be right now if 4 years ago I didn't start collaborating with other healers and start to learn and start to grow. And we share our gifts, right? That's what you do. So you help to connect so that we can all grow universally. Rising tides raise ships, right?
Yes, 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 yes. And it's so much like, okay, good. We still have some time. I was worried we were going to run out of time. We're not yet, because there's still vital questions I want to ask. So Misty said she's planning a retreat in San Diego. So Misty Lane, and then also Tamara Hunter. Have you met Tamara Hunter?
Not yet.
Okay, so she has Chemo Buddies for Life. She's in San
Oh, I saw that
Diego.
yesterday. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And she is somebody, we're building a leadership team around Chemo Buddies for Life. You know, there's some connections there. And again, she's in San Diego.
Oh, I'll bring my bowls. They're massive, first of all. They're giant 20-inch, like huge bowls. They're bigger than me. And I'll bring my bowls sometime, and maybe you would.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Healing through music, healing through connection, healing through creativity, healing through love, healing through finding what our gifts and talents are. And I think the less that we can compete,
Yes.
and the more we can collaborate.
Absolutely. I think that there's enough for everyone. So that's that poverty mentality, right? Where people think, well, if I share, if I collaborate, they're going to take something from me. No, no, no. It's about abundance mindset. It's about working together because we all grow and we all get new connections and new networks, and we grow together. And there's enough for everyone. It's like we need to vision that we have a network that's massively growing and huge and wonderful. And I think that's beautiful. And I just joined a network of people in the Awake Network, where there are teachers coming through.
I'm trying to read comments also.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to finish that thought. And then I want to ask you, do you know Cheryl Angela?
I don't know Cheryl Angela. No, but that would be a great person.
She's a beautiful harp player, and she's in California. She's amazing also. Misty brought that one up.
Oh, harp is amazing. I was working in Austin with music and imagery, and then my friend was a harp music therapist, and she would come in and play the harp, and I would do the imagery guiding on top of that, and it was beautiful. We brought the bowls in at the end. It was phenomenal. It was just everyone left floating. They felt like, oh, Patty wants a sample.
Yes, I left that sample up. I mean, that statement up there. I don't know if you want to take her on, but
sure. Yeah. What kind of healing do we want today? What's our focus, Teresa?
Ooh, you know what? Something about the feminine energy, something about beauty and essence and calmness.
Okay, I can do this.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have an essential oil handy, grab one, but if you don't, that's fine too. But what I like to do is I like to start with an essential oil.
Which one?
Oh,
so if I'm going to go get some, I don't have any.
So my favorite one is Transformation. Transformation is my favorite, but right now I'm using Peace and Calming because you said something about calming.
Yes.
And I can definitely explain the bowls later. But here's what I would do is I would just take in, if you don't have this, you can just close your eyes and start to think of an intention, something that you want to manifest and bring into your life, right? So as you think of this thing that you want, I just want you to close your eyes, and you can breathe in the oil if you have one, because it'll really help to anchor that. But just start to imagine what it would feel like, what it would look like if that were to come true. And start to imagine now that you're in a space where you're surrounded by positive, loving energy. All of the good thoughts, all of the prayers, every smile you've ever made, all of the beautiful things you've done for others are now coming back to you full force, like a magnet. And you're calling them in. They're surrounding you. You can feel them starting to gather around. And maybe even before this life, in that other space, in that connection, you can call in all of that love, all of the guidance from loved ones, past and present, and just start to bring it to surround you like a blanket. And as you breathe in, notice yourself dancing in this positive space. Feel the air glitter and sparkle around you as if something magical is about to happen. And you can call in all this love to your intention, giving it fuel, building up that intention, making it more real, transforming you. And just notice, how do you transform? How do you shift? And notice how good it feels to be in this space of positivity, as if your intention is already true and you're living in that intention, manifesting your dreams.
So good. I love that. Love your voice. So good. I can tell you're very good at that. So, wow. Well, every show, I always ask what the guest would like to be acknowledged for, and I'd love to be able to acknowledge you today. And then we'll also, if there's any final questions or tips or anything you want to close out. But what would you like to be acknowledged for, Ellen?
Acknowledged for. Can you explain the acknowledgement piece?
Sure. You know, that anything you want to be acknowledged for showing up. You want to be acknowledged for sharing your gifts. You want to be acknowledged. And I can even just start out with the acknowledgement for your bravery, your courageous being, your softness, your education component, the healing through music. So, yeah, what are some things you'd like to be acknowledged for?
I want to acknowledge myself and all of the women out there, honestly, who are fearless about stepping into their power and their dream, and about living the authentic life that they are put here to live, and learning along the way, because it's not always comfortable. It's not always easy, because as we grow, we may experience discomfort, right? But I just want to acknowledge all of us, because there are so many people out there who are doing this and who are living the life. They're living without fear. They're living in abundance. And I want to acknowledge that in myself and others.
Awesome. So, Ellen, I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you for being the beam and the light for all of us. It's almost like a lighthouse. And then with the ocean sounds, I hear the music as well. And just to really acknowledge you for stepping into who you are and allowing the rest of us to courageously step into our path, and that we can hold hands and we can do this journey together. And just thank you for being here.
Thank you
so much. Yeah.
And thank you for being the connector and bringing people together and creating possibilities that we never thought possible, just by bringing us all together.
I love it. And I see more future collaboration. So as we close out, it's the end of the hour, half hour, but still, what would you like to say? Any last words? I mean, there's quite a few people now that are.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, April. Oh, I love you.
Yes.
Thank you, Patty. I guess I would want to just close with, and I'm so glad you brought up the light, because light was such a huge experience of my glimpse of heaven, right? That I call it. Yeah. And it's such a part of what I do. The bowls are light, the oils are light, we are light, we live in the light, right? And so just when you think of that and you sit down, you go to sleep at night, just imagine yourself surrounded by this beautiful, loving light, because that's what it was for me. And if everyone can have a little bit of that every day, where you can live in gratitude for what you have and just start to take that small moment of connecting to that light in yourself, that we really all have inside. I think that's what I would leave with today, because I'm just trying to live in gratitude and in light every day. And
wow. Thank you, Ellen. So my name is Teresa Snyder, and I'm in Texas today. Ellen's in San Diego. Yet we are very much willing and able to travel, come on live videos, help you with whatever it is that you may need help with. That's what we're here on this planet to do. So I open that invitation up for both of us, and I'm hopeful that that's your intention as well, Ellen.
Yes, I'd be happy to help anyone who needs it or wants to talk.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Everyone, make it a great day and go out and do something great for yourself and for another individual. And we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.